Thank you to Megaspin for sponsoring this video. Visit megaspin.net for all of your table tennis equipment needs. Welcome to the second video in this series in which I'm reviewing two gold standard rubbers from Butterfly. That is the Butterfly Dignix 09C and the Butterfly Tenergy 05. In this video, I'll be taking a closer look at the rubber that has been the gold standard for more than a decade, being used by a plethora of professional players. I'm of course talking about the Butterfly Tenergy 05. The high-tension top sheet is very grippy but entirely non-tacky, with pimples clearly visible below the top sheet. The top sheet is paired with a salmon red spring sponge, which has a high density of small pores and a medium hardness, being decisively softer than the Dignix 09C. The 2.1mm Tenergy 05 weighs 70 grams uncut and 47 grams when cut to the Viscaria test blade, which is a couple of grams lighter than the Dignix 09C. Throughout this test I'll be using the Tenergy 05 in my forehand whilst using short pips in my backhand. The Tenergy 05 produces a softer and more crisp feeling on forehand drives than the Dignix 09C. The Tenergy 05 is also far bouncier than the Dignix rubber, which gives the impression that the Tenergy is considerably faster on forehand drives. The throw angle is also higher, being medium high to high, and as a result, forehand drives clear the net even more easily than with the Dignix 09C, yet have longer trajectories. I enjoyed outstanding control on forehand drives, provided I wasn't overly aggressive. The feeling on warm-up forehand loops is softer than with the Dignix 09C, and a very prominent speed glue-like clicking sound is produced. The throw angle remains high on these shots, resulting in ample clearance over the net and excellent consistency. However, power coupling, that is the transfer of energy from the player via the rubber and onto the ball, is weaker with the Tenergy 05 since it's softer than the Dignix 09C. In other words, there's a limit to the amount of power that can be imparted onto the ball on high impact shots like loops. The bouncy and relatively fast nature of the Tenergy 05 works great in loop-to-loop rallies far from the table. It is important, however, to let the rubber do the work rather than leaning into the shots with brute force. Forehand loops against long pushes are very easy to execute due to the high throw angle and catapult effect of the Tenergy 05. Spin levels on third ball attacks are higher than with the Dignix 09C since the ball digs into the sponge a little more. Here's a compilation of third ball attacks from our practice session. The softer and springier nature of the Tenergy 05 manifests itself on forehand flicks. While I preferred to use pancake flicks with the Dignix 09C, I preferred the more classic mini loop type flicks with the Tenergy. In other words, I enjoyed better consistency when lifting the ball over the net using a rolling rather than snapping motion. This in turn meant that the flick was a little less dangerous and that I had to be ready for the following shot. Regular forehand warm-up blocking felt comfortable with the Tenergy 05. The incoming energy was quickly reflected as controlled blocks. As you can hear, a very crisp sound is produced. If you get them right, the resulting blocks are blisteringly fast. However, the higher throw angle and springier nature of the Tenergy 05 is evident, and a higher percentage of my forehand blocks overshot the table. The more aggressive the block, the more pronounced this effect, which is a fundamental difference relative to the Dignix 09C. The bouncy nature of the Tenergy 05 means that pushes against backspin serves must be executed with care, as they otherwise overshoot the table. Once mastered, it becomes possible to play very spinny pushes that are challenging to attack against. However, the margin for error is smaller than with the Dignix 09C. I had a harder time keeping pushes short and low than with the Dignix 09C. Really good hand feeling is required. In conclusion, the Butterfly Tenergy 05 is a bouncy looping machine that works especially well from mid-distance. Its characteristics also render it useful as a backhand rubber, as its bouncy nature facilitates flicks and loops. The soft and bouncy nature of the Tenergy 05 will render short game, counter driving and aggressive blocking a little challenging for some players. The Butterfly Tenergy 05 and Dignix 09C rubbers cater to two different player types. The Tenergy 05 is a springy, looping rubber that requires good hand feeling for effective short game. Following the introduction of the 40+ plastic ball, the Tenergy 05, in my opinion, will be too soft as a forehand rubber for most advanced players who can impart more power on the ball. However, Tenergy 05 is still a great rubber for intermediate players who need their rubber to do more of the work for them. And also, I think the Tenergy 05 maintains its status as a great backhand rubber. The Dignix 09C, on the other hand, caters to players who can impart more precisely titrated power on the ball for a more direct game style. Blocking and the short game are far more stable with the Dignix rubber, since it is slower and less springy. For even more details on the Tenergy 05 and Dignix 09C rubbers, check out the written review. The link is provided in the description. What do you think about these rubbers? Have you tried them? Let me know in the comments. Once again, a big thank you to Backspin for supporting this video series. The Butterfly Tenergy 05 and Dignix 09C are available at megaspin.net. Thank you for watching this video and subscribing to this channel. Stay tuned for more table tennis equipment reviews.